Folks,
so, I'm going to put little notes on.
so folks, if you're not asking a question, could you please mute your phone? If you don't have a mute button, I believe it's *6. All right, well, we're 2 minutes after, so I'd like to go ahead and get started. I'm Adam Davis. I'm a State Extension Specialist here in the Albany. Could you mute your phone, please? So I'm Adam Davis. I'm the 4-H Extension Specialist charged with handling the state 4-H enrollment. So I manage the Access 4-H database, which is the current enrollment system that we rolled out in 2010. Prior to that, we had the Blue Ribbon Youth Enrollment System. I came in just for the last couple of years of that. And then Access 4-H up until March 2014. So what this means is that Access 4-H is still going to be in use for another 5 months or so. So this gives us a chance to move over youth data. Right now, state-level projects are in 4-H Online. All New York clubs are in 4-H Online. No members and no adults are in 4-H Online. So the first step in this 5-month process is for us to add members and our families into 4-H Online. The way 4-H Online works is it's you start by entering a family. I put some helpful links here. I haven't created a booklet for county staff yet. The way the 4-H Online support structure works is they train me, and then I train everyone in the counties. Some of my colleagues in other states have done some very nice work. Minnesota, in particular, has a lot of quick tip sheets on how to complete a specific task. And I've talked to Todd a couple of times, and he's kind of coaching me along with this process because they've been with 4-H Online for a long time. IO as well has quite a few training materials, and they have a nice handbook. So without any further ado, I'd like to go ahead and get logged into the system. If you don't have a login yet, please send me your information, and what I'll do is I'll create an account for you, and you'll be assigned to a training county. When you're in the training county, none of the data you enter or play with can count on anybody's ES-237. So it's a good place to experiment and see where you have questions. Get your feet wet, and be assured that none of those records are going to go anywhere. I'm going to see if my link works.
We're just seeing the phone and all the time.
It's not going to work.
Go like that.
Folks, if you're not asking a question, can I ask you to mute your phones? So I see that some of you have already seen this page. You have a profile set up, you've logged in, you've made some records. That's great. So I'm going to go ahead and get logged into the main page. And I have several roles in 4-H Online. The first role that was created for me was the state administrator. So I have to, when I initially log into 4-H Online, I have to go to that screen. And I'm not sure you can see my screen, can you?
Nope. Oh, I can't see your screen.
Okay, let me make sure I'm sharing this application. Back to the PowerPoint. share my browser.
There we go.
Is that better?
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to log out again and start over. So this is the main 4-H login screen for 4-H Online. There will be some sort of New York Cooperative Extension symbol on this page, but that's in the Communications Committee, and they're wrestling with it. As I said, I have to log in as the state administrator because that's the first role that was ever assigned to me, although I have accounts on all 3 levels. Once I'm logged in, the screen I see is going to be a little different from yours. So I'm going to go to a lower level account and log in. That's the way 4-H Online works, is you don't just add people from your account. You log into a family account, a county account, and in my case it would be a state account. So in order to look at the managers and pick who I'm going to log into, it says select manager type here. I'm going to go ahead and look at my county manager list. At this point, all the managers who contacted me have been added, and they're all in the training county, which means that they can log in and they can add a family, which I'm about to do, and get a feel for how the system works. Now, I just did this in a training county about a half an hour ago, and I had all kinds of technical problems, so hopefully that is not the case right now. I'm going to log into my county level account, Custer County. And this is the screen that most of you will see when you log into 4-H Online. It begins basically kind of as a search, as if you're going to search for something. There's a variety of different things. It's almost like the Microsoft Office 2010 ribbon, but there's a variety of things that we're not ready to get to yet. But today, I'd like to start with a simple thing of adding a family. So on the families, I'm going to click on the Families tab, and rather than searching for a family, I'm going to go ahead and add a family from this button at the bottom, which you can see. I'm going to put them in the training county. We'll just call them the Davis family. We'll give them an email address. Now, talking with my colleagues in other states, the biggest stumbling block they've had around family enrollment, which is up to you if you want to do family or county enrollment, is getting this email address correct. If they don't have an email address that they can access, a computer and a browser, it's not going to work. So if you elect to go the family enrollment route this year, which it might be a little early for in my opinion, this is going to be your most important field. I'm going to ask you for the family phone number as well.
Adam, what's the option if you don't go the family route?
You will enter them as I'm about to enter them now. So it would be a county person, an administrative assistant, and an educator, someone enrolling the family on their behalf.
Okay. Get it.
So 4-H, Access 4-H didn't have this family stuff. This is the big difference with 4-H Online. The first step is to add a family. And this is where I had trouble before. It was kind of stalling out on me. Let me try that one more time. Let's just check somebody else's account. Again, I'm going to go to the Family tab, and I'm going to add a family. Training county.
Adam, I can see gray screen.
Okay. Let's go back to this. Is that better?
Yep, gotcha.
Okay.
I don't think she's up there. Is she up there? Coming down, Patty. Come down here.
I'm not having much luck. I had some technical problems earlier, and I seem to be having the same thing. I emailed 4-H Online about this before, and I'm stumped. So what I'm going to do is go ahead.
Connect the family, Adam?
What's that?
Is this the only way to connect the family?
Right. When you begin by adding the family, and once that's done, then you add the adults and the youth into the family.
Do you have any already done that you can just use one that's already there?
I do, but it went through for me. Thanks,
Oh,
Linda.
went through. Great.
Okay, so the fields that you've already filled out are going to be in the family. You just need to go ahead and complete their address information. Now, the way 4-H Online works, if I were to put in the wrong zip code for 4-H, for this family, it'll send you a warning that zip code does not match that city. It gives you if the family wants to correspond by email or mail, that's where you set the setting. It's going to ask if this family is involved with a military 4-H club. That's for tracking purposes. This family is in the trading county. Now, by collecting update member records with the same address, every time I go through the next few screens and add a youth or an adult, it will go ahead and fill in that full address, which is a big time saving over what we used to do with 4-H, Access 4-H, where we entered them all at one time. If you're doing family enrollment, you're going to want to check reset password. That'll send them an email to create a password and an account in 4-H Online. This also comes in handy if you're using family enrollment and they forget their password. You'll log into their family screen, hit reset password, and it will email them. I'm going to continue adding the family. Now it's going to ask us to add members of the family. The address verification is a field that's an option in 4-H Online. I haven't turned it on yet because I'm a little nervous that about the whole zip code address verification thing, kind of like what UPS would use. In my own experience, nobody can find BB Hall, so And that may change later. I'm going to go ahead and add an adult to this family. Okay. So the next process is going to take you through a series of screens for the first adult. The first one will be Dad. There's the standard optional fields. There's quite extensive information you could collect on adults. For a volunteer, you would probably want to get as much as you can. Birth date is not required for adults. Gender, however, is required. Again, the correspondence preference that will apply just to this record. Cell phone. If you want to set up text messaging, this would be a good time to do that. You can select their provider. In New York, a lot of folks use Verizon. If you were to enter their cell phone here, you then have the option to send text messages through 4-H Online. The other standard fields, it's their first year in 4-H, so it's going to default to 1. If it's a split family, it gives you the option of putting two different households into the system. Plenty of different emergency contact numbers. I had a county say that they need at least 2 of them for the record, so I made at least 2 available. If they're involved in a different county, you can select a county that they're also involved with, if it's a project leader that crosses county boundaries. At this point, if you're adding a staff member, you're going to select yes for employees. If they are a volunteer, you're going to select yes. And then it's going to go through the ES-237 data, the required race residence data. The military service, if Dad is in the military, you can select that, select the branch, and the status in the military currently. I'm going to bring us to the next screen. Right, 4-H Online has the ability to upload documents to be tied to a record. Right now, the only one enabled is the Code of Conduct, because P.W. Wood is pretty insistent on those ink signatures. I could add the acknowledgement of risks, the enrollment form as well, with the understanding that though 4-H Online is set up for these electronic signatures, our insurer is insisting that we continue with the paper forms. So this would give you the option of tying that paper signed form with the record right in 4-H Online. I'm going to continue with this. This is a parent volunteer. I set this up according to our volunteer involvement policy. These are all items that are required in the VIP. None of these are required for you to fill out to complete the record. It's a good time to point out that, as you can see, this is all yellow. This would only be seen by a county manager. So if you were to do online enrollment by a parent volunteer, they would not see any of this information. It can only be entered by the county. So you have the option of putting all that along with the volunteer, the exit date, reason, note, the date of the MDR check, of course, is important. Continue with the record. And I can't put a club, I can't associate a club with a trading county right now, and I'm not sure why that is, but I don't want to go into a regular county and possibly mess up an ES-237 somewhere, but that's a bug I'm working on right now, that I can't do this in the trading county. I put the standard volunteer types, the activity, organizational, and project leader in here. And they can be, once you add one club, you can assign them to different clubs, say if it's a project leader. Continuing on with the record, you can, in every county but the Training County, well, sometimes you can add a project, I guess. Let's give it a good chance to show something else. I'm going to go ahead and associate this as a project leader with gardening. So this is his first year as a gardening project leader. For our next webinar, which I'm doing with Angela Northern, this is kind of a shameless plug, she created a database of project materials, which are all the materials that I formally scanned and put into eCommons at Cornell.edu. I've taken those project materials and added them to 4-H Online. So in this case, the one under Gardens, Fruits and Vegetables is the Cornell resource, is the Appealing Apple. So you can add that project as well as the project resource to this volunteer. You simply add the project. And as you see, the project is now tied with that volunteer. Activities are a little funny in 4-H Online. Activities don't count on the ES237 in 4-H Online. I went through our state activity list, and just about every one I looked at was over 6 hours. So, Linda, I'm going to bring that up before the club committee when we meet, because I want everything over 6 hours to count on the ES237. I'm not necessarily in agreement that an activity wouldn't count, but we're kind of late in the game here. So right now I only have one activity that I found that was less than 6 hours, which is the open house at the vet school. Perhaps you're bringing a group, so they would be an activity leader. As we continue on with the enrollment, there's the ability to add awards, perhaps like a 10-year service award, or I believe these are entered at the county level. That'll be a little while down the road. And the groups, if this is a person leading a group enrollment, perhaps the field trip to that open house, this is where you would add the group here. Of course, you're going to have to put in groups before you can add them to a group. Again, and then volunteer types are associated with that as well. So I've got a little more work. We've got a little more work to do on formatting that portion of the enrollment. But those are the 5 or 6 screens of enrollment. At that point, you submit the enrollment. If you're doing this at the county level, you'll just check everything you entered, and then you'll go ahead and accept them. If they were doing this at the family level, you could send this back and say, what is your driver's license number? Something that's not complete. This is the option to delete that number, although I prefer numbers aren't deleted unless it's just an error entry. And at this point, you will go ahead and accept that number. It brings you back to the Davis family. Now you see that Dad is in there as an adult. He's active, and you can go ahead and edit Dad. Since I'm doing pretty good on time here, I actually only want to do these for a half an hour. Let me open that up to the group, though. I was thinking a half hour every Tuesday at 2. Could I get some feedback on that? Because I think taking this in bite-sized chunks will be really nice.
Are you also taping this?
I am.
So you want to? I don't have a problem with that.
All right. Well, talking with my colleagues in other states, this is what they've done as well. And I feel like if I leave a few minutes for questions at the end, then I can start the next session with questions from last time, and I'll keep the trainings to bite-sized chunks. I think I have a few minutes to go ahead and add a youth. and go ahead and add this youth member. This is going to be much of the same thing as you saw when I checked before to add the address to all the records. It's going to add his address information. At this point, when you're putting in someone in for the first time into 4-H online, if they've actually been in Access for 4-H, Access 4-H for 5 years, go ahead and put them in for 5 years. That's the way we'll retain their years in 4-H in the new system.
So Adam, for both volunteers and for kids, we really should probably get that information out of Access so that when we're putting people in here, we can use that.
Yes, I would strongly encourage you to do that.
Because otherwise, everybody will just do 1 year.
Right, and it's just not accurate. So I'm going to buzz through this youth record. With a youth, it's going to ask you for the grade from the ES 237. Oh, I got to give them a name. And youth do need a birth date. And that's going to be a drop down. And your gender. Okay. And it's going to take you through, and it's going to add you're going to go ahead and add the youth club. Again, for some reason the clubs are not in the training county. They're in your county accounts, but I need to get them in the training county somehow. I'm going to continue. Here's the little club. So I think it's going to stop me there with the youth. But I think you get the idea that it's going to take you through pretty much the same screens as the adult, and then it's going to flip you right back to the member page to add a sibling, to add another parent, and that's the structure of enrollment for 4-H, is to create the family and then populate the family with the members. So at this time I've given you quite a bit, so can I just take some questions that maybe I can answer, but probably I'll have to do a little research and come back to you with?
And I missed the first part of it, so I'm not sure if you're encompassed this. Previously, in entering data into a new system, we had to put the clubs in and that sort of thing first. Is that true with this system as well?
For 4-H Online, the clubs are already in. The state level projects are already in. You're going to enter county level projects. If you want to kind of split out the state level projects into smaller county level projects, you'll have to add the families, the members, the parents. But the clubs and the state level projects have already been rolled in.
Okay, and there will be an area to add clubs, right?
Yes.
Adam,
Mm-hmm.
so if we have more, I have other staff who will be needing to access this. Do we need to give you their information so that they can get the access code?
That's fine. At some point down the road, the county administrator will take care of that. But for now, while we're in a training phase, you can go ahead and send them to me. I want to get as many people onto it as soon as I can, and just really get a running start on this. There's a question about entering data in the non-test version. Right now, you're actually entering data into the real system. You're just entering it into a test county, and that way it doesn't count on anyone's ES-237. By the time you're confident, I'll have the contract signed. I've already gotten CIT sign off on 4-H Online. You'll just shoot me an email, and I'll switch you from the training county to your own county, and you'll be ready to go. Access 4-H will no longer be available as of March 31st, 2015. how to get everything out of Access easily. 4-H Council is going to do that for us. They're going to send each county a spreadsheet of their data. I'm not sure what that's going to look like. It might be pretty ugly. What I'm most concerned with is the years are associated with the members, so that 4-Hers don't lose their years in 4-H.
And Adam, the other thing we really use is the years someone's been a volunteer.
Certainly, and that, as long as it's in Access 4-H, I'll get it back.
Okay, good. And
Anybody else?
We have,
This better be a good question.
and we were wondering if we can all do it at the same time.
It might get a little buggy if you're all in the training system at the same time. And I bet you that's why I had problems. If you're having problems, you might want to log out. Give it a few minutes for the other person to finish up and log back in. That's probably not going to be a problem at the county level with 2 or 3 users. Right now, during the training period, it could well become a problem.
Thank you.
If the family does not have an email, you're going to have to use paper forms and track them just as you have before. But you're going to have to take a paper form and then enter it into online. They're not going to be able to manage the records. Go ahead.
I have underneath it says 4-H enrollment and event registration. So are we no longer using the Cornell registration?
I would advise you to continue using the current event registration until we get through about a year of 4-H Online, and then we can take a look at that again. 4-H Online was developed by an extension educator in Texas, and they have these huge beef roundup events. So it was basically built with the idea of events being the enrollment mechanism in mind. So it's pretty heavy on events, and a lot of my colleagues in other states are having success with events. But unless you're pretty bold, I would stick with it just for enrollment right now.
Okay, thanks. Is there potential for any kind of fair management?
Yes, there is. I was around when we brought out 4-H or Access 4-H, and it's quite a difference. The system is more robust, but that makes it a little harder for me to train because I have to learn a lot of things that I just was never really a whiz with Access 4-H, but over the years I got to be able to skip around it pretty easily. But I'm trying to set it up correctly the first time so that we don't have to go back and fix anything. And there's a lot of state customization that I had to do with 4-H Online.
Adam, is there going to be, or I'm sure there is, a mechanism for how non-club 4-H members are going to be enrolled? Here it's requiring you to add a club. Are we going to enroll families as family clubs, or are there individual opportunities?
So I would probably create the Jones Family Club and enroll them in that club. If they are in a group, I would create a group and probably associate them with that group, like a fair advisory board. There's different ways to enroll them. Does that answer your question? It also has the option to add contacts, which may not necessarily sit under the volunteers. Perhaps it's a board member or a donor or something like that. So there is that option as well. As for the question about the club roster for just your county out of the training county, it's going to be everybody in the training county at this point. There's not very many people in there, but we're all in this together until we're ready to, be switched over and we're comfortable that we can manage our live data without too many errors. This system being directly imported into the Cornell end-of-year reporting system, that is the plan. It'll be pretty easy with our club members. I'm a little nervous about the activities because the Cornell system requires all those under 3-hour associations, and so that means that we would have to add it. So I'm going to be following up with that part of the import. And for this year, everything will come out of Access 4-H and go right into the CCE reporting tool. And so the question about the pulling info from Access 4-H, I think that a report is probably going to be cleaner than whatever whatever council supplies us with. I just haven't seen what they're proposing to give us, and there's conversations not really at my level about that. But if you can pull a good report out of Access 4-H online, I wouldn't hesitate to do it. Or out of Access 4-H, I'm sorry. Anybody else?
Hey, Adam, can you type in the actual address for 4-H online for us?
Can you see this?
Oh, it's New York dot 4-H. I missed that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If I go back to the WebEx, I believe I made the PowerPoint in such a way that you're able to download this. And this has the links that I'm finding very helpful. The way the training works for me is I'm not really trained to train counties. I'm trained to set up the state system. If I have a question, I'll answer it. But there's been some really good work done out in the other states that have been using the system since, it's been around since 2008, I think. So there's a lot more experience out there than I have. Anyone else? All right, then. Well, I'm going to plan on Tuesdays at 2 for at least, my colleague did it in 6 weeks. I don't think I can do it that quickly. But we have through March, so I encourage you to, get in there, work in the test county, see where you have stumbling blocks, send me questions. We'll get through them together. And there's a question about entering members and volunteers. Yes, you can enter members and volunteers into the training county. I'd rather you not enter them into your real county until I have the signed contract from 4-H Online. As I said, our CIT has approved the system, but I want to see all our T's crossed and our I's dotted before we enter a single piece of legitimate, identifiable information in here. Gina, once you have notified me that you want me to set you up an account, the system will email you the link, and by default, it will be in the training county. Anybody else?
Thanks for all the, I'm sure there's hundreds of hours already done here, so thanks, Adam.
You're welcome. It's been a labor of love. I like new challenges. And I'm kind of a geek, so this falls right into my skill set. All right, well, until next time, thanks everyone for joining me, and I'll set this up again for next week. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Recording button.